Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Hold on, what's going on my screen? Okay, there we go. Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I was reading some interesting news, different, completely off topic. You know, I love college football. I played college football for the University of Georgia, ran track, and my second favorite team outside of Georgia, because that's my alma mater. I'm alumni. Is Notre Dame. And Notre Dame did not make the 12-team college football playoffs. So now they're going to take their ball and go home because they're withdrawing their names from any postseason bowl, which is interesting. So they're throwing a big old temper tantrum. And they're going to take the ball and go home, and they're going to end their season, which is interesting. I don't know if the players voted on this in protest for not making the college football playoff. I don't know, but yeah, they're taking the ball and go home. I thought that was interesting. But guys, hit the like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. A couple of announcements. Announcement number one: we are rolling. Oops, wrong screen, wrong button. Hold on, went too far. There we go. We are rolling to Cape Town. March 25th through April 2nd, for the Cape Town International Jazz Festival. We are going to have a great time in Cape Town. Just got back from Cape Town a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Darius. That's Darius right there. He joined us in Cape Town. And we had an awesome time in Cape Town. And you guys know I've been very critical when it comes to South Africa, especially the xenophobia towards Nigerian, because I'm Nigerian, amongst many other things. But you know what? Xenophobia is not good, but I like Cape Town. I love Cape Town. Cape Town is a beautiful city. I mean, just look at that. That's in fact, some of us climbed up that mountain. That's Lion's Head Mountain. We actually climbed up it. A lot of beautiful hiking trails in Cape Town. Then you have the Jazz Festival. Then you have Clifton Beach right here, which is I'm Georgia alumni, baby. SEC champions. And we put foot and belt to ass against them Crimson Tide yesterday. We put foot and belt to ass against those Crimson Tide yesterday. Did we not? Did we not? We put foot and belt to ass against them Crimson Tide yesterday. So yeah, so SC champions, back to back. We in there. So please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. We'll love to host you on one of our trips. So we're going there in March. We're going to Senegal in when are we going to Senegal? May 9th to the 18th. And we're going to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. That's August 9th through 18th. Then we are rolling to Zanzibar in September. That is for Safari Blue. And I might add Mombasa as well. And then we're going to Accra and in Abidjan, so Ivory Coast and Ghana in November. Or I like doing these two different countries. So we did it for the first time this past trip when we did Namibia and in South Africa. So yeah, so we're gonna do it again with Ivory Coast and Ghana. So yeah, so that's what's going on. So visit donfo.africa to learn more. Let's jump into today's topic. It's Coup season. It's Coup season right now in West Africa. We had a military takeover. I guess it wasn't really considered a coup. A couple of weeks ago in Guinea, or last week maybe. Was it a couple of weeks ago or last week in Guinea-Bissau? And then I'm up this morning, like 7:00 a.m. I get up, check my phone, which isn't the best thing you should do. Check the notifications on my phone, and there was a coup in Benin Republic. Well, it turns out to be an attempted coup, and I think the coup plotters were just recently arrested. But yeah, there was a coup in Benin Republic, or attempted coup in Benin Republic. So what's causing all these coups? And I wonder if Wilfred is watching. I hope Wilfred is watching. So Wilfred, who's from Cameroon, who lives in Germany, who's a regular guest on our show, he predicted a lot of these coups, but they were going to happen. So he predicted this coup in Benin like maybe a year ago. He said, watch out for a coup in Benin. It's going to happen. So I don't know if Wilfred's in the chat. In fact, I'll put the link in the chat room. Wilfred, if you're in the chat, man, go ahead and click on the link and call in, because you were right again. You were right again with your predictions on the coup. Well, the coup got thwarted. So if the French were behind this, I guess, coup or attempted coup, they didn't do a good job planning. Again, they didn't do a good job properly planning the coup. If the French, if they had a role in it. Here we go. In fact, here's the news. We'll jump into this. This is from Al Jazeera, or is it Al Jazeera?
The West African nation of Benin, home to nearly 15 million people, woke on Sunday morning to a declaration of a coup. A group of soldiers appeared on national television saying they had seized power. The self-styled Military Committee for Refoundation, led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tegri, claimed to be stepping in to fix what they described as a failed state.
All institutions are dissolved. Political party activity suspended until
My bad, y'all. I was muted. I was in Benin earlier this year, and from being on the ground and being in Benin, Benin's a very quiet country. In fact, I've said that Togo and Benin need to just merge into one country. Again, I said it before. Togo and Benin, they need to just become one country. It doesn't make sense for Togo and Benin to be two separate countries. In fact, they were saying, I know there was, I don't know, I don't want to call it a petition. People were saying that Benin needs to be absorbed by Nigeria, which, if you guys have been into Benin, in Porto Novo and in Cotonou, that's pretty much, especially Porto Novo, that's pretty much Yoruba land. It's part of the oil empire. And when I say that, literally, if you're at Semi border, right outside of Cotonou, that is the border between Nigeria and Benin. And then if you're at in Porto Novo, I forgot the name of the border that takes you into Ogun State from Porto Novo. And then at the Semi border, that takes you to Lagos State, right to Badagry. Like, if you're on one side of the border, the people speak Yoruba and French. That's on the Benin side. The minute you cross the border, they speak Yoruba and English. It's like that on both sides. So it's very interesting. And also, too, the border at Niger is also closed. That's closed, though. This is Niger, not Nigeria. The border up north with Niger is closed. And the reason why it's closed is because they just had a terrorist attack. I think it was last year. But then I've also, frequently, a number of times, I've crossed the border between Benin and Togo. I've crossed that border a number of times too. But let's continue.
Further notice, Benin's land, sea, and air borders are closed.
Actually, what I'm saying is, it's a pretty stable country.
Until further notice. Taking power at this moment reflects the CMR's firm determination to end the exclusion of all social groups in our country without any distinction during the transition and to restore national cohesion.
The soldiers accused President Patrice Talon's government of failing to address worsening security threats from armed groups in the north and neglecting fallen soldiers and their families. Gunfire was also reported near Talon's residence in Benin's largest city, Cotonou. But within hours, the Interior Ministry announced the coup had been thwarted and the situation brought under control.
In response to this situation, Benin's armed forces and their leadership, loyal to their oath, remained committed to Republican values. Their response ensured control of the situation and foiled the attempt. The government also urges the population to continue their activities as usual. Thank you.
President Talon's government has been in power for nearly a decade and delivered economic reforms and expanded infrastructure. But critics say political space has tightened. Benefits haven't reached all regions, and security threats are growing.
When opposition party discover that the space is getting strong by the day, and they realize that they can't access or capture power through the ballots, then there's a possibility that they reach out to their collaborators within the military to see how they can capture the power through the barrel of gun.
McDonough Hyundai is.
I'm going to stop. We got Wilford here, so I'm gonna go ahead and tap in. Go ahead, Wilford.
Oh, am I live?
Yeah, you're live.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
I'm good, Wilford. Hey, another one of your predictions came true. You said that a coup attempt was going to happen in Benin about a year or so ago, and here we are.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to cut my YouTube in the background. 1 second. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll wait for Wilford to come back on, but Wilford is he knows when all the coups are going to happen, so. Let's wait for Wilford to come on. Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Someone in the chat said, somebody in the chat was saying, Dynasty. Here's Wilford. Hold on. Go ahead, Wilford.
Sorry, I'm on the phone, and every time I click on the StreamYard link, my YouTube in the background is still playing, and I hear myself talking.
Well, turn off
Okay,
the YouTube in the background and just.
I just did, and I came back now. So,
Okay,
so I'm done. Yeah. Well, actually, there are not so much thing to say here, because it seems, according to French media, that the coup was foiled and that 14 guys were arrested. You got the translation of what they said, but the problem is you didn't have the French translation. The way that these guys were talking, it looked quite amateurish. If I'm honest, I'm not sure on that, but well, yeah, well, it didn't look like as serious as the coup you had in Mali, Burkina, and Niger, where the guy looked really prepared. You know, these guys, I don't know. Just the impression you had when you hear them talking in French. Oh, it looked like kind of I don't know. This was like well, so it didn't seem they didn't seem so as really prepared as the guy the neighbors in the north. But even though it failed, the tendency is still the same. I told you here in many shows. You asked, okay, where do you think it's going to go? And I told you Benin, Togo, I think would be the next one, right? And you were kind of skeptical because, as you said earlier, presently these are countries where people are they have a really cool demeanor. They're easygoing. They're not the kind of guy shouting or sorry to say like Nigerians or Cameroonians. You know, they're not loud and they're very, very, very laid back people.
Right.
And extremely calm by nature. I know Togolese, I know Beninese. That's the same guys anyway. And you talked about Yorubaland. Yorubaland actually even went as far as Togo because there is a city named Atakpame. It was basically the city, the furthest Western city founded by Yorubas at the time. So in the south of Togo. Just to say, I mean, this guy may not be culturally loud and so on, but the suffering is real. And I even saw someone in the chat saying that it is well run. Well, you have the proof it's not. It's extremely corrupt. And I'm sorry, I already told it once to you. Well, you also said the same thing, but it's like Côte d'Ivoire. If you come as a foreigner, even though I've never been there, but I mean, that's the fact, right? Okay, with euros or dollars, you can have an extremely good time. There are very good hotels and resorts where you can have fun. If you're a foreigner, it's also easy to get access to some to the highest stratification of the society. So you can invest easily and so on. So it's going to be fine for you. But the problem that I have with many people in the diaspora, especially the non-French diaspora, is that they only see the glowing faces of these regimes, and they think that because this regime welcomed them there to invest, that everything's fine. It's not the case at all. People suffer. The overwhelming majority of the people over there suffer. And this coup, when this guy may not have been prepared very good, they may not have been as eloquent as and charismatic as the neighbors in the north, but what they said reflected what I've just said. And it may have it may was thwarted this time, but I'm telling you, and I've been telling you guys in this show, in 10 to 15 years, ECOWAS is dead because the French regimes are going to fall down one after the others. It's only a question of time. This time it didn't work. Next time it's going to work.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you. So there were reports, in fact, Nigeria flew a fighter jet over Benin. Now, somebody said they dropped a bomb, which I haven't got any reports from that, official reports from that. Do you think Nigeria dropped the bomb? But they did fly a fighter jet over.
What I think happened in that case is that Talon, I mean, the France-Afrique is absolutely terrified to have another coup. But as I said, even though it didn't work this time, it's only a question of time until it works. The reason being, the population is exceeded with France-Afrique. So even though you can military maintain such a regime, it's only going to hold a limited amount of time. And I don't want to bother people, but you always have to look at demographics. This country have 60-70% of population that is young. They are tired of being tired or living under these regimes. As for Nigeria, well, Patrice Talon, you can be sure, he called the French to come at its rescue. And Nigeria also, I mean, you see Tinubu literally every fucking month in France. This guy is a puppet. So what do you expect? Of course, he doesn't want the Benin to fall down, because from a Nigerian perspective, Cameroon doesn't belong to ECOWAS, but Benin does. And if Benin falls, Nigeria is isolated, geographically speaking. It would be a discontinuity, a territorial discontinuity between Nigeria and the rest of ECOWAS. So of course, I think Nigeria intervened in in order to prevent Talon to fall. You also have to know that there are French soldiers in Benin, very probably, and there are also some Rwandese mercenaries that Patrice Talon hired to protect himself. So you can be sure, and also Ivory Coast, I'm pretty sure. There are also French soldiers in Ivory Coast. I'm pretty sure they also intervene. They're in the region.
That's interesting.
So,
let me read this super chat real quick. JC Inc., thank you for 499 holla. What's up, Diners? Thank you for 499 holla. All right, go ahead, Wilfred.
No, that's what I wanted to say, basically. You can be sure that if the coup was thwarted, it was thanks to exterior forces. I'm pretty sure. Because the reivindication of the soldiers, right, are things that are right. Oh, by the way, the guys who were told to be the head, the leader of this coup, his name was Pascal Tigris, if I'm not mistaken. There is another video that ran in the social media where the guy appeared. He's one of the guys who was in the video where they talk from the head of the national television. And basically, there's a video where this guy is alone and talks and warns friends not to intervene and to let Beninese people basically solve these problems alone. But I don't think it happened. I'm pretty sure there is I'm sorry, I'm a French citizen, but I know how the government works, right? France Afrique is alive. It's like you as an American, right? It's not because you're American that you agree with everything the government does. And well, that's the same case here. And I'm pretty sure they intervened 100%. I can't imagine they didn't. Like in Madagascar, right? Or in Guinea-Bissau.
Right.
Sorry, French government is always behind this. They always save their dictators. Mbalo was exfiltrated by France. The guy in Madagascar, Joelina, was also exfiltrated by France. And I saw today that the president of Madagascar, the new one, right? The guy who
said, here we go. 1 second. Nigerian Air Force from nearby Lagos conducted an airstrike towards the escape path of the coup plotters. So they did. I guess they did bomb.
I'm sorry, I'm not surprised by this because yeah, they like Anglophone countries, especially Nigeria's, are not in the on even in the population. I'm sorry to be straightforward. The revolutionary spirits that animates Francophones, I don't see it in the Anglophones, especially Nigerians. So the government's a reflection of this. And Tinubu, as I said, is likely every month in France. He's Macron's bestie, right? And you shouldn't expect anything better from this guy. So yeah, of course they did.
So Wilfred, you said you think Togo's next.
No, the problem in Togo is a very complicated situation. Because in Togo, as I told you last time that I was there, it was last week, I don't remember. But there was a French media named Jeune Afrique that conducted polls in some countries in the region in order to assess what's the popular support for the AES. And I told you that in Togo, it was above 70%, right? So the population wants to join the AES. And I already told you once that the foreign minister named, what's his name again? I forgot it. Anyway, but the foreign minister on public television said himself, before these polls were conducted actually, that 70% of the population, where the assessment was right, wants Togo to join the AES. But the problem is that Togo, the regime, is actually a dynasty. The guy, Faure Gnassingbé, inherited the power from his father. And he's illegitimate. Right? The same thing happening in Côte d'Ivoire. So officially these are democracies that are not democracies, right? So the guy knows that if given the opportunity, the people will kick him out. So what he did is, when there were problems with the AES, he basically allowed the AES, knowing that the AES doesn't have an access to the coast, to use his port. And it was actually in the time where the AES refused to now use the port of Benin. That's why Benin has lots of problems. You don't see it, but they have problems. Because the AES doesn't have an access to the coast, so it has to use ports from coastal countries. And these countries, of course, get his. You know what I mean? And given that the AES stopped using the port of Benin, Benin had lots of problems. And then Togo, in a slick move, basically proposed to open its ports of Lomé instead, right? So by doing so, it basically helped the AES a lot. And in other stuff, basically, Faure Gnassingbé, the president of Togo, is also trying to make mediation between the AES country and ECOWAS. So, for instance, there's a reason why when Ibrahim Traoré made the second coup, because the first coup, I remember there was two coups in Burkina. The first coup was done by a dude named Andri Sandaogo Damiba, who then showed his true face. So he was also part of France Afrique. And then Ibrahim Traoré had to make the second coup. Yeah, that was revolutionary, right? And the guy Damiba, when he fled, right, Togo basically made a mediation to allow him to come safely to Togo and not threaten the Burkina Faso anymore, right? So Togo is basically a place where the regime is illegitimate. It knows the sense of history. It knows that as soon as the people get the opportunity, it's going to get kicked out. And he's trying to still stay in power by shifting to the AES. And by the way, now that we're talking about Togo, it was last week, I think, or the week before, I can't remember. But the Togolese president went to Russia, and he basically signed some strategic alliances, allowing Russians to also use the ports of Lomé in order to conduct business. And it is basically a move that positioned Togo straight in the straight line to the AES. So basically now, if Russia wants to deliver anything to the AES, it can go through Togo, right, to the north. So this guy is basically playing, I don't know how to say it in English. He's playing in both sides, right? But it's not gonna work. He's gonna fall down too. It's like in Chad. Same thing. So every coup, basically, because that was the title, and then I let other people speak. Every coup has to be analyzed in regards of the situation, the geopolitical situation in the country it happens.
Well, for
so Guinea-Bissau, it was totally different.
Well, for that last question, so I know the election in Benin is next year. Is Kemi Seba, is he still running, or have you been keeping up with Kemi?
Actually, he was prevented from running.
That's right. Did they strip his citizenship in Benin or something crazy like that? Okay.
No, but with what happened today, I think something is going to happen to him. I think Patrice Talon is going to use the opportunity to say, oh, see, Kemi Seba said in the social media that he was for the coup, so he's a traitor and we got to arrest him or something like this. I'm pretty sure it's coming. But no, it was prevented. And by the way, he prevented, like in Senegal, officially these are democracies and Western countries are going to describe them as such. And you're going to have some people who are going to come and say, hey, everything's fine in the country because, of course, all foreigners can do whatever they want there. But it is not. And actually, most of the opposition parties were prevented from running. Right. And Patrice Talon already has his successor. Can't remember his name. And he said, this guy is going to run for me. So you see, I'm not making a third term like Ouattara, unconstitutional, but actually it's exactly the same thing. So no, Kemi Seba was preventing from running because if he would run, if he could run, he would win. And Kemi Seba, you mustn't forget, he was straightforward. He already said, if I win, I am going to make Benin go to the AES. Period. There is no. He's not hiding anything. So
Let me pass the mic to JA. Go ahead, JA. Unmute yourself.
Hey, good day. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
I had a question for the brother. The AS. When he says the AS, what is he talking about? I don't know if I'm
I'm talking
missing
of
it.
the AS is basically a French what's the English for that? I forget. Well, basically, it means Alliance des États du Sahel. So that's French, and it means the Alliance of Sahel States, which is a
Okay.
confederation that was officially built by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso when ECOWAS, after the coup in Niger, threatened to attack Niger.
Okay. And then another question I had was in the West Africa or in Africa, how many states are French or members of the AS or speak French or francophone countries? Like I don't know if you can name them all or what, but
Actually,
so
there is an organization.
Burkina Faso is in it, right?
Actually,
Togo is in it.
there is a West African organization, political organization named ECOWAS, and
ECOWAS.
yeah, most of the countries there are actually francophones.
Okay.
Outside of Nigeria and Ghana, they're all
Okay.
francophones. Or oh no, what am I talking about? Liberia is also anglophone.
Right.
Sierra Leone too. So 4 countries: Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, and Nigeria are anglophones, and there is Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde that are actually Portuguese speaking officially. Oh, and the Gambia
Okay.
is also francophone, anglophone. Sorry, I even forget about it.
Okay.
So five countries, and there were
Okay.
I can't remember 15 countries, but the countries of the AES, by creating the AES, they basically left the ECOWAS bloc.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with. I mean, I can't say I agree, but you sound like you kind of know. You have some good information. I was kind of agreeing with what you said on the fact that when people go to to some of these states and they have money, they can really live or experience something different,
Hey,
compared to
guys,
the
real
people
quick,
that live there.
if I can interject real quick, yeah. So it's definitely confirmed. Nigerian Air Force conducts precision airstrikes, fleeing Benin coup plotters. Yeah. So go ahead, Jay.
I feel like that's a factor, that when you leave a country where you have money or whatever, you even take money there, you can really do a lot in a place that is somewhat economically depressed. And so I agree with your statement on that. I don't know if I agree with the fact that it's outside forces necessarily fomenting or causing the coups to happen. I think it's the internal politics of the country, and then the external politics or external forces might support um, people that they think are best for their interest. But it's the internal divisions within the country that really lead to the issue of the coups. And I don't know if you ever heard of a book called How Civil Wars Start. It's written by Barbara F. Walter, not the old Barbara F. Walter, not the old Barbara Walter, but a younger lady, and she's like an expert in coups. And if you go through that book, you kind of see some of the things that lead to that outcome, of coups in countries. So I agree with you on the money. If you have money and you go to these places, you can really do a lot. You can really maybe even make a lot. Especially if the state is backing you in some way. But I don't think it's necessarily external forces that cause the issues. But I think external forces might pick a side and then make the issue worse, essentially. Potentially. I don't know what you think about that.
The problem is, as I said, concluding, it depends on the situation, because every country is different. For instance, in Guinea-Bissau, what happened is, even now in French media, they're saying this, it was a false coup, right? What happened is that the guy who was in power, Embalo Sissoko, knew he would lose, right? But he was at the service, he was serving the West, he was a Western puppet. And what happened is they knew this guy lost. The Electoral Commission was about to announce the results, and all of a sudden there's a coup that was, to sum up, organized by himself. right, with the help of the West. That's why he was exfiltered by France, in order to prevent the real Pan-African to come to power. You know what I mean? Because otherwise they would have maybe, very probably even aligned with the AS. What is at stake here is, as I said, the destruction of ECOWAS. ECOWAS will not last 10, 15 years. ECOWAS is dying right now, you know? So in that case, it was basically a false coup, right? Or there is a country in Central Africa named Gabon. Same thing, right? The dictator in place is also part of the dynasty. He inherited power from his father, right? And he basically had a stroke and was diminished intellectually speaking. He wasn't the same, right? He was illegitimate, and you know, Gabon is a country that should normally be as rich as, I don't know, these Arab countries like Oman and so on, but the population is dirt poor because of corruption. And France Africa, right? All the money of the land is stolen. So the dissatisfaction was growing, and what they did is they organized a false coup, and the guy who took over, who toppled basically the old dictator, is actually his nephew, right? And once again, you don't have to take my words for. There is literally a video, it's too complicated to explain, where you see this guy who now holds the power in Gabon. His name is Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema, where he says, by basically making a transaction with the family of the dictators that he toppled, he tells them, be glad that we took over, because if militaries took over, we would have been in a world of trouble. So what he means is basically the power stayed in the family, and if ever patriotic Pan-African militaries like in the AS would have taken over, then it was done for the system, right? And now what am I talking about? In Togo, even though these guys seem to be totally unprepared, from what they said, right? And if you look at the reaction of ECOWAS, I think these guys were not part of the system, because if even Nigeria had to attack, it means that these guys were viewed as a danger for, as I said, for the survival of ECOWAS. So every time you have internal parameters that are going to determine whether a coup is going to happen or not, but still there is in Africa very often the external interventions. Sorry,
Wilford, you know what's interesting? Like, so Nigeria was able to scramble these planes this quickly to stop these coup plotters. But what about these bandits in the north, in Nigeria, northern Nigeria? Like,
Dinas, you tell me. No, I'm sorry. Nigeria is a puppet state. It is. You know what you say is right. What you say is right. For instance, but these are jokers. You know. For instance, ECOWAS, right? When the Sahel states were attacked by terrorists, they have never done anything until the AS was formed, and then all of a sudden, now that they know, looking at the perspective of the desperation of the death of ECOWAS, all of a sudden they wanted to create a common force to fight terrorism, right? Nigeria, as you said, is unable to secure his northern part of the territory, but now they want to go to the next country to prevent them from freeing themselves. But what they do there, actually, I think, also you have, from the Nigerian perspective, right? You also have to put yourself in the shoes of the people you don't like, right? Tinubu had a coup in his north, right? He saw Chad also shifting away from the west, even though Chad, the situation in Chad is very similar to the one in Togo, because the one who is now in power, Idriss Déby, even though he shifted away from the west, he's still the son of a dictator who inherited his power from France Afrique, right? So it's complicated, but still, you had two countries in the north of Nigeria, Chad and Niger, who shifted away from the west. And now, as I said, you have to look at the map. If Nigeria, if Benin, right, was now part of the Pan-African Revolution, then it would mean that Nigeria wouldn't have a territorial continuity with ECOWAS anymore. It would be cut from ECOWAS, right? Plus, it would give some bad ideas to some Nigerians in Nigeria. Because I know some Nigerians here. No fucking body. I never seen any single Nigerian being for Tinubu. I don't know you, Dinus.
Yeah, I know some that voted for him. I know a lot that voted for him this past election. I know a lot.
So then we don't have the same kind of Nigeria. But I must say, now that you said that most of those that I know are Igbo. Maybe
well, that's why, because they were for Peter Obi. Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
That's why.
But the
Can I ask you a question, brother?
Well, Jay, let me pass the mic to Casanova. Casanova, go ahead, Casanova.
Cool.
Peace. Thanks, Dinus, for allowing me on the platform. I had a few things to add. This situation in Benin is really interesting because I feel like it is a homegrown movement, like a grassroots movement. I remember reading a few articles a couple years back about some Benin soldiermen that were killed on the border, the northern border.
Nigeria,
yeah. Yeah, I know that's a really protected area because it's like there's a lot of endemic species there. Like that's like one of the last areas that still contains the West African
Yeah,
lion.
they have the was it not a rainforest? Is it a rainforest? They have
No, it's like
natural preserve there. Yeah,
it's
right.
like
there's a national park. A national park.
It's a national park. Yeah, so they got the last West African lions over in Benin, and so they protected a lot. And I think the terrorists leave a lot of like bombs and like mines. So a few of the National Guardsmen were killed by mines, and I think this is just a homegrown movement that plans to link up with AES, like Wilfred said. And I think that I really hope it is successful, but it sounded like it's not. But I don't know. I feel like the information that France is putting out, it could be capped too. Like they could just be trying to stay ahead of this thing until they can get it under control. There's no confirmation really right now.
You're absolutely right.
It's successful because then this would give the AES access to a port. And I would really like to see what they could do with access to a port, considering all of those countries are landlocked. That's all I have to say.
Bro, you're absolutely right. I've been saying in the show several times, in previous show, right? That's what I told Dynast. The moment the AES get access to the sea, it's game over. And I told him, Togo or Benin, I think, are going to be one of these two are going to be the first ones, because there are going to be others who are going to make it and who are going to give it an access to the port. And as you said, what's your name? Castanova, sorry, right? I think you're absolutely right, and you saw this. You analyze this is right. Exactly, like it makes me think actually to Niger, about Niger, right? Because in Niger there was a dude named Mohamed Bazoum. I already been telling you, Dinas, this was, you're lucky you don't speak French, because this guy was the biggest cunning Negro I've ever seen. When he was talking, I can't even believe that this guy was like this, right? And if you heard him speak, right, and he had also another dude, a minister, he was a punchliner named Hassoumi Massaoudou. He always had a punchline against the AES, right? If you heard this guy against Mali and Burkina, because AES didn't exist at that time, if you heard this guy speaking, you could think, well, Nigerians are so far, Nigerians, are so far gone, they're never going to free themselves. But Bazoum eventually fell down, right? The problem of Benin is the fact that the surprise effect now doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The blueprint of the Pan-African Revolution was created by the Malians. It was used successfully by the Burkinabe and the Nigerians. But now imperialists know how it works, and they're also now extremely they're on their guard, right? They're ready to intervene in order to prevent it from happening. But As this guy said previously, and that's the first time I ever heard that from an English speaker, so I'm glad that the information circulates. He saw that right. I never said it the way he said it. He said it way better than I ever said. I'm sorry, I don't speak so much English, so good, but it's a grassroots thing. So you can cut the grass as much as you want. It's going to keep growing and growing. It's only. Oh, by the way, I read today because I forgot about it. It is the 5th coup attempt in Togo, in Benin within 10 years. Just keep that in mind.
I didn't know that.
5th coup attempt within 10 years. Even two of them were, it seems, friend of Patrice Talon, or maybe fake ones, right? Because he wanted to take away some potential adversaries, some guys who could take the power. But actually, it's the 5th coup attempt in Benin within 10 years. So to all those who said, like I saw in the chat, yeah, it's a well-run country. No, it's not. If it was, people wouldn't. Military people would not do it. And what I'm saying is this: it didn't work this time, but it's going to work next time. That's the same in Burkina. It's only a question of time. ECOWAS is on its way down. Because I wanted to ask a question, right? Let's imagine, okay, that you impose a dictator for the next years, or that the Nigerian army has to even come down on the ground to occupy the land, the time that they make the situation quiet. At some point, how do you do if the population is against you? It can't last forever.
Hey, Wilford, what's the situation in Senegal right now?
Senegal. I'm not an expert on Senegal, but the thing is, I think in Senegal what's going on is that there is a problem between Diomaye Faye and Sonko, and they're trying to make as if nothing happened. But as far as I understood, Diomaye Faye fired some of the people in the government that Sonko, that were basically close to Sonko, in order to put his own people, right? And well, it seems that Sonko also, it has to be said, I think it lies in the personal relationship, because Sonko should have been the one who should be president today, right? If the system was right, Macky Sall should have let him run, right? And that prevented him from running, right? So Sonko should have been the president. Sonko is basically the one who is Diomaye Faye's big brother, if you want, right? And I think that he still has difficulties to accept that Diomaye Faye is now the president. You know what I mean? There are frictions because of this. Sonko basically wants to be the boss instead of the boss himself, who is now Diomaye Faye, and it creates problems. Also, from what I got, when Diomaye Faye basically accepted to take in the first place Embalo Sissoko, who was couped or toppled, in Guinea-Bissau, Sonko made a speech in order to condemn this publicly. So you can see that there are tensions between the two. Now, how far it's going to go, I don't know. Because to be honest, I'm not very interested in what's going on in Senegal, because, you know.
Hey, if you guys don't know, I was in an attempted coup in Sierra Leone back in November 2023. There was an attempted coup in Sierra Leone, so they had us on lockdown for like 2-3 days. It was interesting, but like you said, well, for some of these coups, I think are just poorly planned.
I mean, from what I saw, right, actually, most of them were very good planned, but either they were reactionary coups, like in Guinea-Bissau or in Gabon or in Guinea-Conakry. And let's not forget him, Guinea-Conakry, Doumbouya. this guy is a CIA asset. So either they're so reactionary like these three, or they're revolutionary like in Mali, Burkina, and Niger. But this time, however, in Togo, really, I can only say it because of the way this guy was speaking, were talking on the French television. They didn't look like people who were very well prepared. To be honest, I think what they wanted to do is to declare that they took over the power and that the rest of the military followed them. But I don't know enough at this point to tell you anything, because as the guy previously said, and he's right, there are basically two versions of what happened that are now running in the internet. When you go to French medias or even German medias here, I saw it, or well, basically mainstream medias, they're telling you that the coup was the coup was thwarted. I can even read now Patrice Talon, it seems, talk to say that yeah, that they were successful by thwarting the coup, right? And you had Pan-Africans who were saying that they were getting different informations as for what happened. But wow, I don't think it was, well, yeah, I don't
And then
think this one
also
was
too,
very prepared. Sorry.
yeah, also too, there's the election coming up later on this month in Guinea and Conakry. How do you think that's going to play out?
And Guinea Conakry, I think he's going to organize fake election exactly like in Gabon. In Gabon, after the guy made the coup, he organized basically a fake election with puppet candidates, and he won, of course. So that's what's going to happen. And then he's going to be able to say, see, I may have made a coup, but I organized a democratic election and I won. So now I'm legitimate. So it's going. That's what's going to go to go on in Guinea Conakry.
It'll be interesting, guys. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the convo. You're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Again, links in the chat room. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.
We are back. Wilford, so in Benin Republic, they're saying that there are possibly mercenaries on the ground and there's still some skirmishes going on. What do you think of that?
I'm literally looking at French media, France 24, so French 24, and Talon, it seems, said that the situation is under control on public television. So what other thing happened? I also read the chats, and I agree with what the guy said there. I think ECOWAS is going to send some troops to try to control the situation. But
So
once again,
Wilfred, why isn't ECOWAS sending troops to northern Nigeria?
you asked me a very good question. But ECOWAS is Western puppet. They have an interest in seeing the countries being destabilized because look at Nigeria. If Nigeria would have a president like, I don't know, Aliko Dangote, right? A guy who's there for the interest of the country and for Africa, right? Bro, Nigeria is literally threatening Western industries by producing its own refined oil. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what at stake there. So if these countries can use their resources and keep their people, man, it's game over. So that's what they're doing, and that's the reason why they're also backing the terrorists in Sahel. Explain me how this guy who work with sandals have now the best drones you can imagine.
Somebody said
all the
Salome
weapons they get.
Somebody said French media is lying. Talon made the declaration from an undisclosed location.
That's what I said earlier. There are two versions of the situation. There is that what this guy says in what you can read in French Pan-African social medias, right? That the fight keep going on, and that the French media is basically making a media operation, counter operation, right? To make as if the situation is under control, while it's not the case. And in the other hand, in these mainstream medias, well, as I tell you, I'm reading right now that's on my computer, tentative de coup d'État au Bénin, la situation est sous contrôle, dit le président Talon. So it means coup attempt in Benin, it means the situation is under control according to the president Talon. So to this point, I don't know what to believe. It's confused. And even the persons that normally in French-speaking Pan-African medias are very well informed haven't spoken yet. Sorry, because the situation is confused, I think.
Guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in, call in now. We'll go ahead and close out, and we'll be back on tomorrow. I will be more consistent in going live. Again, I will be more consistent in going live. We did pretty good last week. We didn't go live Thursday, Friday, or yesterday. Saturdays I watch college football. So yeah. But guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, you can. JA, your devices is not connected. So I don't know what's going on with that. Wilfred, also too, I'm noticing Pan-Africanism is shifting. So Pan-Africanism is for the most part a construct from the West, but now I see more younger Africans on the continent who are more Pan-African than those here in America. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, Pan-Africanism was born actually on the ship of the European transporting slaves to the Americas, right? People who used to belong to these different ethnic groups to fight each other and so on had to come together to fight the oppressor, right? Then it organized into an intellectual movement. So it was born in the Americas, right? And it then gained the African continent. And as you said, and that's the reason why I was telling you that the zeitgeist, combined to the demographics, right, make me think and affirm that this Pan-African revolution you're seeing is a tsunami you can't reverse, right? Because as you rightfully said, and as I've been saying in the show for ages now, the younger generation in most of Francophone countries, at least, are like literally 90% Pan-African, right? And it's because of the work, and I repeat it, because you have to give credit to who deserve it, from people like Kemi Seba, especially. When he went back to Africa, after being criticized for being a Pan-Africanist who never went to Africa, right? He basically organized with his NGO, Urgence Panafricaniste, he organized a network of Pan-African organizations, NGOs, all over West Africa, right? Who basically have been educating the youngest in all the countries of the region, right? Regarding France Afrique and the dictatorships that people live under. And that's the reason why, after a while, right, even people like Assimi Goïta, Ibrahim Traoré, and so on, right, they've been to that school. And that's the reason why you see what you see now. The AES didn't happen in a vacuum. And if you don't believe me, for instance, I always give some names of very relevant Pan-African voices in the French-speaking space. For instance, Franklin Yamsi. He's he's a teacher, a philosopher basically, who used to teach at French university, and he's very well known on the internet because he's one of the most famous Pan-African in the French-speaking world, right? And I'm talking about this guy because this guy basically he went to every country of the AES, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, and he was personally greeted and welcomed by the heads of states of all of the AES. So he met Ibrahim Traoré. It was this year. He met Assimi Goïta several times, and he met Abdurrahman Chani several times, right? And we're talking about someone who's speaking in the internet. But I'm telling this just to tell you that in the French-speaking world, and that's what I've been trying to explain, but I never could, to people like Tunaja and so on, is the fact that the dynamic is at a whole other level, right? So there is no surprise about the fact that the youngest in the continent are now 100% Pan-African, and the AES is the basically the how can I say it? That's the realization of this. That's the apex of this, and that's why, as I told you, it's only a question of time until other countries also follow the same way. And that's also my bet, right? The AES officially already said it's a confederation that wants to become a federal state, right? From what I gather from all the Pan-African Francophone space, it's only a question of time. And that's what I've been telling you this for ages now. There is going to be a new country in West Africa, and it's going to basically be the combinations of most of Francophone countries that exist today. So a behemoth is basically being on its way right now as we speak. So yes, Pan-Africanism in Francophone spaces, at least, is very widespread by the youngest generation. And that's the reason why, as I said, even though the coup today didn't work, Talon is not gonna, or the guy who's going to succeed him, they're not gonna last 10 years.
Jay, yes, I'm doing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that one quick question for him first. Togo has a coast, right? Does Togo have a coastline? And Togo is in the AES, right? So they already have a coastline, the AES?
No, it's not in the AES. I explained earlier the situation is complicated in Togo because the guy who's there is illegitimate, right? Basically, if you give his people the opportunity to topple him, they're gonna topple this guy. He's the son of a dictator that was basically given the power to by France, and he's illegitimate. So what he did is he basically facilitated the communication between the AES and ECOWAS after the break, and he also gave AES access to his port in Lomé. But he's not part of the AES, even though he made some move that basically could go in this sense. And also, very important to know, he knows that his population is massively for an alliance with the AES and wants to get in. So it's complicated.
Okay. But the thing is, I just want to caution a little bit on the hope that Because in order for these states to come together, it's going to require people giving up power, right? It's going to require people that have power giving up power for the greater good of the group, right? And it's going to require them to have some assurances that when they do give up power, they won't end up losing too much, right? And so it's going to be difficult, I believe, to have that happen. I feel like it'd be easier if the states themselves were, with the leadership and stuff they have and the systems they have, if they were able to secure and build these systems to benefit their populations. And then as time goes on, they form partnerships with other states where they can have free passage through those states and things like that, like the EU kind of has, right? Where if you're an EU member, you can kind of passage through any state and you get, you know, certain tax benefits or certain business rights and things like that, kind of like America has it in a sense too, right? And so, but over there in that situation, it's all these are different separate governments, and so it require, you know, Ibrahim Traore to say, hey, you know, I'm gonna subcede my power to something else greater, you know, and that part of it might be a little tougher, you know.
Um, in a sense, you're right? Because elites, generally speaking, don't want to give up power if they're going to lose everything altogether. That's right. But in that case, right? And the problem is that it was clearly stated, right, by this government, the three, that they know that the people want a federal state, that they know that the people want to live in the same state. They know that the population. This is a wish that the population clearly expressed. They want to have one big federal African state. So how they're gonna do it, I don't know. What I think is that if they do it, they might be basically making a rotation. You know what I mean? For instance, okay, if we make a federal state, they're going to organize this in such a way that every region is led by one of these strong guys. You know what I mean? But that officially, they're going to be like a turning. Um, the leadership of the federation is going to be turning. I don't know if it makes sense in English what I'm saying.
I think I
So
see what you're saying.
basically,
You're saying like they share power, it kind of rotates or something like that.
absolutely, yeah, rotation. Yeah, sorry, a rotation. Like it's the case right now in the Confederation of the AS. The chef of the Confederation of the AS is officially now the General Assimi Goita, because he's the one who began with the revolution. But then they're going to rotate, and it's going to be then Traoré and then Tiani at some point. But about this, I'm quite confident because they know it. And by the way, but the problem is that these are things that we do not see as a normal citizen. They're working hard. I repeat, very hard to harmonize everything, because there used to be separate countries with separate administrations and so on. And now there is, even if I'm not mistaken, a parliament for the AS. So basically, what they're doing is that they are merging the three system in one, but it takes time. It takes time, and I think that for the case where the federation should happen, I don't think they're gonna fight because they know something: the people will not tolerate it.
It's interesting because the state is the most powerful thing in a country, essentially, generally speaking, right? And the only way the people have power really is through, you know, non-governmental organizations, essentially, right? Where you have wealthy people outside of the state, you have trade unions outside of the state, you have businesses outside of what the state promotes and stuff like that, right? So the state should be providing security to allow these things to thrive, right? Security, freedoms, right? Freedom of speech, so you can even talk out against the state and not get persecuted, right? and things like that, right? That's the state's, ideally, that's the state's job, right? But if the state ever decides to crack down on any individual or group, that becomes a big problem, right? That's going to stifle the people, because the people theoretically have the numbers, right? But the state has the monopoly on force. And so that's where the issue comes in, because if the military supports the state and the police support the state, and there's no way of the people themselves to rein these institutions in, then the state is in full control and you really you don't have that many rights, right? Because a lot of these places, for instance, like a road going to a certain region might be needed, right? But if the people can't demand that of the state and have a way to force the state through elections or whatever means to build that road, then that road doesn't necessarily get built, right? And so some of these places, that's what I'm saying. To me, I'm not poo-pooing it totally. I would like to see it happen, because the ideals of Pan-Africanism are great, but in reality, in a way, you got to start small. You got to be able to control Burkina Faso and make that successful before you really try to make a big conglomeration sometimes. You know what I mean? Like a trading partnership, yes, but where we're going to share politically, because now you're bringing different people from different cultures, different religions, different tribal groups, all this type of stuff. And they have to be willing to subsume all that to the centralized government, whichever government that is. They have to see the bigger picture to even move to that point, you know? And the state itself has to give these people these rights, even if the people are going to talk out against you you might even lose power for giving them these rights, you know? But you got to start that kind of ball rolling, and sometimes it's better to go slowly. That book I mentioned, I think you should really look into it, because you sound like you're really trying to solve this problem on how civil war starts. And one of the things it mentions is when you try to go too quickly to like a democracy or vice versa to autocracy, that's where you really get these coups happening. You know, if you're a democracy or you're a strong going autocracy, then you're fine. If you're in that middle ground, that's where the issues come in. And a lot of times issues come in when a group that has power loses power or thinks they're going to lose power, and they have no means of going through an election or something like that. They feel like it's the end of the road. Like there's not an election that's going to keep their power. There's not a state that's going to help them to keep power, stuff like that. And so they lash out and they cause these insurrections and these type of things, you know what I mean? And so that's what I was going to ask you about Gabon. You said they went through a coup. And so I was going to ask you, the guy that won in that election, was it perceived that he lost, or what happened there that triggered that coup, you know?
As I explained, in Gabon, there was basically a dictator named Omar Bongo, and Omar Bongo died, and his son basically took over the power. But his son had a stroke a few years ago, and was basically unable to do his job, right? So in order to avoid the situation that you had in Algeria, for instance, where the guy also had a stroke and was basically unable to do anything, and it was his family clan who led the country. So what they did is they organized a coup in order to allow one of his nephew to take over, and that's what happened. The name of the guy who took over is Brice Clotaire Oligui, and he's basically the as I said, the nephew of the toppled dictator, and nothing changed. Basically, that's it. So there's a masquerade.
Was it a violent overthrow, or people just agreed to like?
No, nobody died. Basically, he came to he made the same. It was the same scene as you saw in Gabon, and it began basically in Mali. So you had military people who came to the public television and who said, "Well, now the dictator is normal, and we now take over." Period. And they organized some fake elections, and of course he won. And you can see basically that it's a Western backed coup. because Emmanuel Macron went there and supported this new guy. So he was adored by the Western system. It's very easy actually to see where the coup is dangerous or not. For instance, that's why the reason why no matter how unprepared the guys in Togo were, these guys were genuine, I think, because otherwise we would never have had Nigeria attack, and never ever in a million year, right? In Guinea Conakry, this guy Doumbouya is never criticized. Same thing, he's a CIA asset. In Guinea-Bissau, when it happened, ECOWAS, well, just had a soft reaction condemning the coup. They knew it was fake, right? But in Togo, they went full force. It gives you an indication that it wasn't planned by the West and that the guys, no matter how unprepared they were genuine. However, I must say, I don't really agree with you to a certain extent, because there are many parameters that you have to take in consideration regarding West Africa. Because first of all, it was never democracies in the first place. The regimes that are there, exactly like in Cote d'Ivoire or in Togo or in Benin, may have the appearance of democracies for those who don't want to see them for what they are, but they are no way democracies. The prisons there are full of political prisoners. If anybody says anything against the power, he's going to end up either dead or in prisons, or in best case, maybe in exile. So democracy doesn't exist in West Africa. I'm sorry to say this. Even in Senegal, where it happened more smoothly than in other places. Secondly, these countries that were carved by Westerners do not reflect the ethnic composition of the region, because you literally, as Dana said earlier, right? If you cross the border between Benin and Nigeria, you get the same people, and it's exactly the same in Burkina and Mali. It's a continuum, and you also should take in consideration the fact that in this very region, it is the region in Africa where you had in the history the biggest empires that happened to be multi-ethnic. So the ethnic component is not as big as you could think, or as some people in the West would want to make people believe it is. And lastly, Africa is Africa, Europe is Europe. Democracy, and I'm sorry to say this, even though I'm living in Germany, I'm enjoying being in a democratic country and so on. It's not for everyone. I'm sorry. There are countries that don't have democracy and still work. I'm not saying it's perfect at all, but they do what they have to do, right? And what Africa is about to do, I think, is to find its own system, its own political system to govern itself the way it wants to be governed. And we shouldn't apply the Western Western expectation on the people of the region. And basically, it's also part of these revolutions that you don't see often. These are things that you don't see often outside of the Francophone Pan-African spaces, but there are real reflection about the way the political system that is going to emerge after the military transitions, because these are only transitions, end. And it's going to give something, it's going to give birth to something totally new. That will be the African way.
All right, so this is the
Totally
thing,
agree. I totally
for
agree.
me,
Hey, guys,
for
let me pass it to Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
all right.
I totally agree with what JA's just said. Africa needs to find its own type of governance, its own type of way, an African way. It needs to. Don't try and emulate anyone else. Um, I would recommend that you would emulate China in the way that's does things, but not emulate completely the Chinese way. Um, so, but like I said, JA is on the right. He's talking sense. I think. I mean, I've been taking a keen interest in the in what's going on in Africa, because I want colonialism gone and imperialism gone from the continent of Africa. It needs to go. Okay. Along with capitalism as well. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. Yeah. I've got no more to say. Oh yeah, all I'm here to do is ask questions because I need to know more. Yeah.
Guys, links in the chat room. Links in the chat room. If you guys want to add to the conversation, you can. Please click on the link in the chat room. Wilfred, in the chat room, a convoy belonging to the Nigerian military has crossed into Benin after Benin government requested help.
Well, as I said earlier, I'm not surprised, but you know what makes me think about it, right? Made me think about countries like Afghanistan, for instance, right? Where the Americans have been for 20 years and eventually had to leave in kind of in a ridiculous way. Even though Nigeria helps, the Nigerian government helps to maintain Patrice Talon and his acolytes in Benin, it's not going to last forever. These guys are going to go. These guys are going to go. And all Nigeria is doing by doing so is that it's degrading even more its reputation in the region. Period. That's it. Because as you said, these guys are prompt to go to Benin to help a dictator maintain himself and his system, right? You know, and his fake elections where he basically prevented the whole opposition to take part.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing nothing in the north of Nigeria to fight Boko Haram. Come on now, Nigeria. Sorry, not Nigerian people, but the Nigerian government. And I have to remind people, I have to exactly, man. The Niger. Oh God. Sometimes I stumble upon some Nigerian channels in YouTube. I'm really so disappointed. But what did I want to say?
Yeah, but may I ask him, have you been following a guy called David Hoodian?
Yeah, I saw him in some media. This guy is on point every time. He's a very well informed English-speaking guy.
He's a guy I follow on when it comes to West Africa and Nigeria in particular, because he's been exiled.
Yeah, I saw that. Of course.
Yeah.
This guy is speaking truth. Truth. Oh yeah.
Truth, yes.
Oh yeah. There also there's also another scholar that I very regularly follow. His name is the Dr. Gerald Horn. And he always on point. Always on point when it comes to francophone points. I never saw this guy say.
Dr. Gerald
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Black Liberation Media and the Black, I think it's called the Black. I can't remember what it's called. I'll find out for you in a minute.
Yeah, but Dr. Horn and this guy David Ondeyun, yeah, these are two guys in the Anglophone world who Black Power Media or something like this. I think that's the what you mean, right?
I'll find out for you in a minute who the other guys you can follow. There's a guy he's doing good work on Sudan as well. What's going on in there, that part of the world?
Well, when it comes to Africa and anyway geopolitics, I never heard the Dr. Horn being wrong. To be honest, on anything, that's a bus.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nigeria, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but the reputation of Nigeria, is going to go down the toilets. It's done. First, Tinubu was the one who led the threat to attack Niger, and now they're attacking Benin, bro. In the francophone space, at least, I'm telling you, it's done. Nigeria was already 6 feet under, but now it's done, definitely done. And but thankfully, the population knows that it's not Nigerians the problem; these are the elites. I repeat it, right? Because
do you know the Black Agenda report?
No.
Yeah, for them as well. They're good. They're from America as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you tell what you're saying, Wilfred? Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No problem. I'm not. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. By the way, I don't know, except if you have question, I don't know. Oh, but by the way, are you Nigerian or? Paul or
British, but of Caribbean descent, Jamaican descent.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I also want the Caribbean to be free of imperialism as well. The whole world, if possible. Yeah.
Bro. You gave us the Haitian Revolution and Marcus Garvey. Thanks.
Yeah.
God, Marcus Garvey. Yeah.
Isn't the president of Nigeria or the prime minister of Nigeria a CIA asset? From what I've been told, he's an asset to the
Well,
CIA.
that's the story that circulates, but it seems that Tinubu used to be named. Well, his name officially now is
The
Ahmed
CIA asset.
Ahmed Bola Tinubu, but he it seems was named Adebola Tinubu earlier. And this guy was caught basically in drug trafficking as he was in the US. And he got some deals from the secret services to get exfiltered to Nigeria and change his identity. That's what I heard. Now, if it's true, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I heard as
But
well. I've heard the same thing. Yeah.
the way when you look at the way this guy is behaving, the problem being with him, and I speak as a because I'm actually a French citizen of Cameroonian descent, living in Germany, right? So that you know, from what I see, right, Nigeria is going to be a problem for a long time for the region because Nigerian people are divided, and I don't think they're going to do anything against their terrible government, and they're going to keep creating problem all over the place.
I mean, that's how they win. They win by divide and rule. And that's it, all divide and conquer where these people there. We have to try and unite everyone in Africa and tell them what's at stake. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it makes me think, talking about Nigeria, where was it? I read an article, it was today, where it was said it needs confirmation that Tinubu accepted, I quote, the help of France for fighting terrorist insurgencies in Nigeria. So basically, they want to encircle the AS and place some French troop in Nigeria in order to be able to prevent any coup, revolutionary coup, right? To be successful in the region. So basically, nothing good in the horizon. Actually, at least in Nigeria. But even though the brother JA didn't agree, what I think is, but that's my optimistic view, I think that in the end of the day, within 10 to 15 years, the federal state of West Africa is gonna be born, and that unfortunately is going to incorporate most, I think, of the francophone countries except Senegal. I don't think Senegal is going to be part of this eventually in West Africa, and that the Anglophones, unfortunately, will not be part of this. So I don't know where Nigeria is going to be, but there are going to be more coups. There are going to be more attempts, and these dictators are going to fall down the one after the others. It's only a question of time. And if people don't think about it, even though people don't believe it, I have to remind them that all the dictators we had in Africa eventually fell down. And the one I'm thinking about, who was the most iconic of them all, even though the situation didn't turn so good, it was the one in Congo, Mobutu Sese Seko Kukumbendu Wazabanga, from his whole name. I remember when I was younger, this guy, I think, he had an aura like he was immortal, right? You thought he would never leave the power, right? Because, oh, by the way, because my father is of Congolese descent, my stepfather who raised me, right? And when he talked about Mobutu, you could think, babe, this guy is never gonna leave the power. But hey, Mobutu died in exile in Morocco, and he was weighing 30 kilos. You know what I mean? So eventually, Ouattara is gonna die or get ousted anyway, and Ivory Coast is going to be freed. And same thing for the other for the other countries. But it's only a question of time.
All right, guys. With that, Paul, you have anything else you want to add? If not, we'll close out.
No, I got nothing to add. I'm just going to take my leave and say thank you for having me on. Thanks very much. I've got to go.
No problem, man. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. But till next time, family, Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Peace.
Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.